Shannon Wilson, Director of Practice Management at the Center for Adoption Support and Education. And is Ashley with us as well? Ashley Garcia-Rivera, who's the
Yes.
Policy Director. Thank you all so much for being with us today.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
So I have mentioned a word, which is permanence. And so I want you to talk a little bit about your organization, but help define that word, permanence.
Sure. Well, good afternoon. Thanks again for having us. I am not a doctor, although I appreciate that that honor. So, yes, I am with C.A.S.E, as is Ashley. C.A.S.E is the Center for Adoption Support and Education. We are a national leader in transforming the mental health of adoptive, foster, and kinship families. So, everything we do is grounded in helping families stay together. And that really is what that term permanence means, right? It's finding permanent homes for children in need. And then, as our earlier guests talked about, not only until they're 18, but throughout the lifetime. So, our organization's entire focus is on supporting that concept of permanence, and it speaks to why this work is essential.
Yeah, I like the fact that there is some focus on trying to keep families together
Yes.
as much as possible, because there have been a lot of critics of the foster care system and others where children are so easily taken away and then separated from their families, which creates, well, talk about that, Ashley. What does happen when children sort of lose contact with their families?
Actually, I love that you asked me that question. I don't know if you know, but I'm a person of lived experience myself. I experienced foster care and I got adopted, actually on National Adoption Day. So I'm really excited, especially as a DC resident, that we're celebrating that tomorrow. Permanency, honestly, and I know Shannon answered this a bit, but I'll answer it in my own terms. It's really finding that support system even after finalization with adoption, or even if you're trying to, reconnect with your birth family. It's very important to understand that there is certain needs that these folks need, and who is there to really help them need to be also trained on those types of needs. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But personally, I've gone through a lot of challenges myself, and permanency continues on in my life. I need constant support regardless of my adoption story.
How old were you, if you don't mind me asking, Ashley, when you were adopted?
Yeah, I was 14 years old.
Oh, okay. Well, that's sort of a positive story, going back to the theme that we keep hearing throughout the program, that, everybody wants that little, bouncing baby, but teenagers are harder sometimes to place. And, but you were a success story.
Yes.
I think you were.
Yeah, for sure. It's considered a success story. And that's why I really wanted to go back into the work, because when I was younger, I would hear, hey, it's going to be difficult for you to get adopted. And, it kind of, hit me a little hard. Like, wait a minute, there's other folks, other young teens that are still looking for that support system and they're not receiving it. So it's really what gave me the passion to come back into this space.
I'm just curious. I don't know who can answer this, and it's probably you still, Ashley, but waiting to be adopted. So where were you in the interim? I mean, what were you in a foster care situation? Were you in a group home, or, and if I'm getting too personal, just let me know. But I'm just curious about, the loss of a family and the transition to a new family. What happens in that gap?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, these are questions that are always come across my way.
Right.
So I was never placed in a group home. I did bounce around to foster homes. I won't get into how many numbers, but pretty high. And my goal was always to find an adopted family, because I knew the risk that I would face if I aged out, that being mental health. And that's why C.A.S.E is dear to my heart. And I really value our mission. Having that adoption competency support is really important because, as I mentioned, yeah, it's a success story. But then again, my adopted mother, still didn't have the skills and tools to support me mentally through my entire journey. So again, that's the reason why we're here today. Like, I really want to emphasize on how important mental health is.
Yeah, I would think so. And Shannon, Again, I want you to weigh in on some of this. I mean, tell us how C.A.S.E actually, is supporting, young people themselves, who you collaborate with. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. And thank you, Ashley, for sharing some of your personal story. Yes, so C.A.S.E exists exactly for the reasons that Ashley just outlined and more, right? And how we serve is through three key pillars. We work across the entire permanence ecosystem. So at one level, we focus on direct services. So that's our adoption competent mental health therapy for families, children, teenagers, and adult adoptees as well. And with adoption competent mental health therapy, we really focus on equipping skills and education so that families can understand not only how to stay together, but how to thrive, right? So that is one component. Direct services also includes our case management services, and case management equips families with resources to supplement the mental health therapy that they receive at C.A.S.E. The second way that we serve is through training. So we are a national leader in training the workforce, which includes mental health professionals, child welfare workers, school professionals. Our vision is that everyone who touches children and families has some level of adoption competency. So we offer specialized online trainings, in-person trainings, et cetera, so that nationally, even if you don't live in the DMV, you have access to adoption competent professionals. And then the third area that we focus on is systems advocacy. And that's really where Ashley works, and she can speak more to it. But on that level, we work through policy leadership and we work with national partners to advance this work on a systemic level so that we are serving not only direct families, but also systems.
Sadly, I'm hearing more and more in media organizations about how children in America really right now, it's almost, like front and center, have not been a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And that, we need to really focus on that if we're talking about the future of this country.
Yeah.
And with all the work that you all do, I mean, are you feeding an army or are you feeding just a small troop? I mean, how are there enough people in this space to provide the support that families need, or the work that C.A.S.E does?
That's actually a great question, which I was going to get into. So Shannon mentioned we train professionals to understand the adoption competency support system, and we lack of trained providers right now. There is a huge amount of clinicians that are not trained behind this, and the fact is that there's very much siloed systems currently, and that alone creates more barriers on the youth or even children, families, anybody that's involved in child welfare itself. So at C.A.S.E, we try to, at the national level, really promote that. And that's part of my job. It's understanding the need of this type of training in order to help these families to be successful.
Wow. And are you seeing an impact? I mean, you all have been in this for a little while, not a long, I don't see a lot of gray hair, so it's not a long time, I would think. But are you seeing growth? Or are you seeing results?
Little here by there, yes. There's been quite few momentum in it. I started at C.A.S.E 3 years ago, and I've already seen some proof and growth into it. So I would say yes. But Shannon, you've been here also a little while too. So I don't know your perspective on it.
Sure. Well, in the DMV alone, we've been able to serve over 9,000 families.
Wow.
9,000 families through our direct services alone. So that's pretty huge. We don't have an enormous staff. We have a powerful staff, but to serve that many is meaningful work. And then we've trained, again, thousands of countless workers across the country. Most recently, last weekend, we held an event called CAN, which is our Kids Adoption Network Conference. And it's an all-day program for both children and their parents. They're separated throughout the day. And it was such a powerful experience. At the end, the kids talked about how well connected they felt to other people who had similar experiences as them, how they didn't feel other, they felt seen, they felt heard. The parents learned a lot as well. And then at the end, we have a big carnival to celebrate. We try to make it a fun day. So whether it's a one-day local event like CAN, which was held in Potomac, Maryland, or the thousands of folks that we touch on a national level, we are absolutely making an impact.
Wow. So how can people, I mean, is there opportunity for people who want to volunteer or support or just to support C.A.S.E? What are the what's available to them?
Yeah, so we definitely have opportunities. I would say for volunteers, different types of events that we host. We would love to have volunteers for that. And I guess I can share where you guys can contact us in this moment.
Yes,
So
please.
whether you're a parent, professional, policymaker, someone just impacted by adoption support or adoption, foster care, or kinship care, C.A.S.E is here for you. So to learn more about us, you can go on adoptionsupport.org or follow us on all the major social media handles called C.A.S.E Adopt.
Wonderful. And lastly, you've heard me ask this question earlier, is there anything that I didn't ask that you would really want our viewers to know?
Yes, I just want to touch on adoption competency for a little bit as a model. You know, what we hear from families time and time again is that regular therapists just don't get it. They miss the mark. I'm a mental health clinician myself, so I don't say that with any malintent, but the reality is the needs of these families are very nuanced and complex, right? And many therapists who are not adoption competent trained, they miss it, right? And so we've heard families say, my therapist or the professional said to return my child to the foster care system, or they try to treat our family like they would any other family, and we know that that just does not work. So our team at C.A.S.E, we have specialized training. We really get it, right? We understand the layers of grief and loss and the complexities with identity formation and attachment and trauma. And we really interweave all of those concepts into our clinical services and our case management, our trainings, our systems advocacy. So I just want to put out there that we get it. You know, we hear you, we see you. If you're a family out there in the adoption, foster care, or kinship space, you're not alone. We're here to navigate the journey with you, and we're ready to serve.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm so glad that I asked, and I'm glad that you're able to get that in, because I'm sure that there are folks who would love to have.
I lost your audio, Denise.
They're doing things over here that I'm not doing. So
No worries, you're back.
yeah, so I was just saying thank you all for so much for being with us and for sharing. And you know, we hope that you get the support that you need so that the families will have the support that they need. So again, thanks again for being with us, and I wish you well.
Thank you
Thank
for having me.
you.
All righty.